Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gobi Partner Sustainability and Innovation Series. We have just a phenomenal panel here today, and I'm really excited about the discussion that we're going to have. I'll begin just by introducing each of the individuals so that you can get a sense of the level of excitement and why I am so excited for this conversation that we will have over the next half hour or so. So first we have Dr. Lerwen, who has a PhD in physics. She is the founding director of STEAM Platform and founding director of Circular Economy Accelerator, Knowledge Exchange for Innovation Center that are located in Bangkok. She brings with her a wealth of experience from both the industry side as well as that of being an academic. She's highly published. She is managing director of Nano Globe, based in Singapore. She founded the STEAM platform in 2018, focusing on youth empowerment with convergent STEM knowledge, strategic communication skills, entrepreneurship for the SDGs 2030, circular economy, and Industry 4.0. She is the convener of the Circular Economy Leadership Partnership Summit in 2021 under the CE Accelerator program, where she co-founded at Knowledge Exchange for Innovation Center in Bangkok. She has been an invited expert in nanotechnology, innovation, entrepreneurship, and circular economy by different agencies in the United Nations, the Islamic Development Bank, the Asia Development Bank, and other government bodies. She has co-founded a number of emerging technology startups and mentored hundreds of youth leaders in Asia. She was a founding secretary of the Asia Nano Forum, supporting the strategic development of nanotechnology in 17 countries in the Asia-Pacific region. She holds a PhD in physics from the University of New South Wales, Australia. Our next panelist is Kun Tharmonwan Wirochayan, who is a second-generation local SME garment factory owner and holds the position as the youngest vice president of the Thai Garment Manufacturers Association's board of directors, a position that she has held since 2018. She brings to this position a deep knowledge in both the industry as well as a broad network that is making significant impact in this market. Our next panelist is Chris Oestereich. Chris is co-founder of the Circular Design Lab. He's a circular economy consultant at the World Bank. Chris is also the circular economy advisor at Linear to Circular. So Chris is a circular economy leader who helps organizations rethink the ways in which they do business and design programs tailored to create financial and environmental benefits through his firm, Linear to Circular. He's launching Full Circle Filament, a social enterprise that will work directly with informal waste collectors to make 3D printing filament. And he's co-founder of the Circular Design Lab, an open innovation platform that focuses on prototyping and delivering solutions to humanity's big challenges. Chris also teaches courses related to social innovation, sustainability, and advocacy in the Social and Enterprise program at Thammasat University School of Global Studies. So now what I would like to do is invite Dr. Lerwen to share a bit about her story and what has inspired her to move into this circular economy space. So Dr. Lerwen, please, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. What actually motivated me getting into sustainability and circular economy is actually back in 2004 when I was on a plane on Singapore Airlines reading a magazine, National Geographic, where I learned about e-waste, plastic waste in the ocean. That was really a critical point when I switched from promoting technology. I used to believe as a physicist, I used to believe technology will save the world. But then I realized technology alone is not going to save the world. In fact, if we use technology wrongly, we destroy the world. So then that's how I actually make a major shift in my focus towards advocating sustainability. And when I talk about sustainability, I normally, as a business development person, I normally try to understand value chain and supply chain. So understand where things come from. Now, the whole world now is disturbed by the plastic waste, for example. But I wonder, for me, I always ask questions like, where did it come from? And every single day as a consumer, I consume plastic packaging every single day. Where do they end up? Do they end up in a bin and that's it? And how did it actually go to end up in the ocean and landfill? So normally I like to follow the life cycle thinking. So if I follow the life cycle of a product in today's globalization world, and I will show you the infographics later. And you follow from extraction of natural resources, from material processing to product development, to product manufacturing and distribution, all the way to consumption and then disposal. And then we have the entire waste collection, export, recycling for recovery in the past. And so here I just want to show you where plastic comes from the very beginning, when we extract oil and gas, typically in Saudi Arabia and Russia, for example. And then they get shipped through all over the world, getting processed. And the oil will be used to power your car and supply electricity. And then the rest is used the waste of the actually oil refinery is used to make plastics that end up in all our products today. In every single day, each and every one of us use these products. And we use them, we consume them, and we take them, ship them to China until January 2018, when China enacted the national soil policy and banned a lot of waste import, including plastic, textile, and also unsorted paper, and etc. So that's how actually circular economy became a big thing. Now it become a big problem for everyone to take care of their own waste. Now it motivates every country to practice circularity in their own country and in their own community. So the way we look at circular economy is to follow, when I just show you the whole life cycle of product, I can generalize that, and to look at also the industries involved, and to look at how we actually change the business by looking at the different supply chain and how we can actually create new industries to actually close the loop. So on the left side here are the existing industries that are very prospering and contributing to the economy today: mining industry, manufacturing, product distribution, and consumption drives all that. But what circular economy is going to bring in enormous opportunity is on the right side, and how we can close the loop by developing new industries to repair, refurbish, and there's a whole reselling industry is emerging, and also to add value by remanufacturing, recycling, and recovering. So the whole recycling industry is also it's going to grow. And of course, now don't forget, we can't just recycling our way out of our economy. If we could change from the very beginning how we design our product, and also as a consumer, how we consume our product, how we dispose our product, the choice of consumption will also change the whole economy as a whole. So what I'm trying to say here is that every stakeholder here, as a consumer, as a stakeholder, we can make a difference in the whole value chain and supply chain of our economy. I wanted to quickly share what we have spent the last year or so to investigate what's happening in Thailand circular economy. We mapped the whole ecosystem for the Thai government and XPO, and we would like to share very quickly some key findings. And what we found in Thailand is that SME, led by the new generation, foreign educated, that are closing the loop in industries such like textile. You will hear the next speaker also speaking on textile, and there are other textile companies active in closing the loop as well. Plastic packaging and buildings and hospitality. And it's a very strong leadership by women in community eco-waste management. And also the big corporations have set their zero waste target to landfill by 2030, and also setting their carbon neutral target by 2050. And let's see. The Sustainable Consumption and Production Network in Thailand and the Thailand Environmental Institute connect the Thailand industry and other stakeholders to drive sustainable development agenda. And the main network to include PPP Plastic Alliance connects with Federation of Thai Industries and Thai Business Council for Sustainable Development as well. And there's a very strong life cycle assessment capability for sustainability assessment impact. And it has spelled very interestingly, the National Life Cycle Inventory database, which is only there are a handful of countries in the world actually have this type of database. It's actually a process-based database on all sectors in Thailand for over 10 years. So that's a very key capability in Thailand, quite unique as a leader in ASEAN. And government is taking a strong leadership as well. And I will probably share with you later on the challenges, but these are the sort of recommendations, which means we have identified the gaps for the government, and we make recommendations according to the gap accordingly. It's important to embed life cycle thinking in everything we do, and the multi-stakeholder platform we need to develop and implement, and we need to operate a CE sector-focused practice sharing platform and provide life cycle inventory database accessible to the public. And also to build the life cycle monitoring and indicator framework, which is critical because we need to know where we are and to track where we are. And to strengthen the international cooperation, especially with European Union, China, Japan, and the rest of the world. And create dedicated funding schemes for SMEs and startups to accelerate circularity business, to support accelerators and incubators, and of course, to support the circular economy education for all stakeholders, including consumers, and support circular economy leadership and partnership initiative. These are the key findings, but I think I will stop here, and happy to share later on in our discussions.
Thank you so much for that, Lerwen. And, I think that provides such a rich overview of the entire industry across sectors and the implications of circularity on society. So thank you for providing that as a way to kind of jumpstart our time together. Next, I would like to invite Chris to share a bit about your circular economy journey and how you came to create impact in this space. So please share with us, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Sure, thank you very much. I guess I kind of have always been an environmentalist, and I started out my career working in corporate space and kind of migrated into sustainability, ran zero waste programs in the US government, or not US government, US grocery industry for many years, where it was my job to get as much as possible out of the landfills into productive use. So I worked in the US grocery industry for several years doing circular economy work. It was my job to run all the programs, zero waste programs, where we would take everything out of the landfill that we possibly could and put it to productive use. So that was feeding millions of meals to hungry people, feeding animals, composting, recycling everything that we could. It was very beneficial what we did in that program, but it wasn't what I would consider to be circular economy, which would be where you have systems in place where resources are meant to recycle. It was more of a kind of cream across the top type of approach, because most of what we were selling went to people's homes, and then we were completely removed from what happened there. What I think we need to do is find a way to look at things from a systems approach and design our products and services and how our communities and everything, so that everything is designed to cycle as much as possible. I've got one slide I just want to share really quickly. So I've got a picture here of all of the parts of a car. And I just want everyone who's watching to stop for a second and think, is that a car? Every single part of the car is there. But the purpose of a car, a system, is to create motion, to take you places, right? You've got every single part of a car there. But if it's not together and functioning, that's not a car, as far as I'm concerned. And what we've got, Lerwen showed you a great diagram that shows what the circular economy should be. And basically what we've got there is this car, if it was put together, but it was missing a few critical parts. If you were missing the engine or the spark plugs or the gas line, the car wouldn't function, right? You're missing anything that's part of the system that creates the outcome that you want, you can't get that outcome. So what we have to do is help people have this mindset and start redesigning our system so that it is created to create the outcomes that we want. And once we get to that point, we get to the point where our community members understand what needs to happen, we can start making changes at our businesses, in our communities, in our schools, and we can start moving in that direction. So I'm hopeful for the long term that we've got a lot of good things that can come. But I think that mindset isn't there. So that's what I'm here to do today, is try to help people see that. So that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Chris. And thank you for that visual. I've seen so many different metaphors that have been used, but your car metaphor, I think it really resonates.
Right.
Seeing all of the different parts, just laid out. And yeah, if you're missing the engine, it doesn't matter if you've got 4 wheels and, the frame, it's not going to run. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Gladly.
And so the next panelist that I would like to introduce is Kun Tamuwan Virochayan, and we will call her Kun Am, or Am from this point out. So Am, if you could just share a bit of your experience and how you have come to incorporate circularity into your garment business. I think that I'm really, really looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you so much. Before I start, I just want to tell everyone that I'm a newbie here. I just learned the word circular economy like 3 years ago. So I'm just get really lucky that the business that I'm doing with my co-founder happened to be the business that involved with circular economy. And since then we learn about it and really get in touch with it, really want to do something around it. So before I start, can I share my screen? Let me try. Okay. So Malu is a surplus material online platform. So by saying surplus, what it means, I will show you the picture. So in industrial level, every time that we produce something, we always have the leftover. The leftover is like the surplus fabric hidden inside garment and textile or trader manufacturer. And this is some of the photo that we took from our seller. Each photo represents just one leg or one row of the warehouse that they have. And this is only 4 or 5 factory. And this compared with my height. So it's it's piled up very high and it's hidden inside my country. So according to Malu research, Thailand alone, we have the fabric left over around 1 billion yards per year. And that equivalent to we can make a t-shirt for everyone in our country, at least 10 pieces, 700 million pieces. That's the leftover that I'm talking about. So this is the waste. If we don't use it, why we still can? Every product, every material have its own lifetime. So if we don't use it, at the end, we have to throw it away or we have to burn it. And it's sad that we extract so much resources and we don't use it wisely. And on the other hand, in order to get a t-shirt that we are wearing, it has to go through a lot of process as well. So for example, if you want to have a t-shirt from the cotton fabric, we have to start with farming, then spinning the yarn, weaving or knitting, bleaching, dyeing, and then cut and sew, and then transportation. And that when you get your t-shirt. So every part of the process emit a lot of carbon dioxide, consume a lot of like water and chemical compound. But for Malu, since we said that we use the leftover fabric only, or so-called surplus fabric, it means we cancel out some of the few steps, like the first 5 or 6 steps. So by doing this, we don't emit the carbon dioxide anymore because we use the existing, we use the leftover from the fashion industry, especially from the fast fashion. So Malu only use surplus, so that's why we can calculate like the prevention of the carbon footprint for everyone that purchase our fabric or do product with us. Malu business model is very simple. We just be a middleman. We just manage the database that like whatever the factory have, we get the information and also like the sample of each fabric, and we put it up online so that more people can access into it, because many things that hidden inside the factory don't always allow many people to like just walk in and ask for the leftover or checking on that stock. But for Malu, as we already curate it, more people can use it wisely. And this is how Malu look like. So we are an online platform, so that with the internet right now, everyone can access into our platform and see the detail of the fabric. And we also put the correct name of the fabric, like the composition, the construction, the weight of it, how much is left over, and also the price, so that brand and designer can calculate right away like how much they want to use it. And Malu also have 3 different models that handle this surplus fabric. First, we sell the fabric as is, as a material, so that brand and designer can use it for their own collection. Secondly, we make it into the product for organization. And these are just some of the sample that we make for our client. And so far, with like 2.5 years, this is some of the brand and organization that I'm using Malu and help us to like make the circular economy a reality. And next, Malu also have our own collection from time to time. We just want to build awareness by saying that the leftover material is quality. What it mean by quality? Like many people feel about like the dead stock or surplus fabric as maybe they have the defect, or maybe they are not in a good condition, but actually it's just the raw material unused. So what we do is that we turn it into like a t-shirt or face mask or polo shirt, and we sell it individually so that people can get the sense whether like what we mean by quality. And this is our current collection, so you guys can take a look on our platform, on our website. And so far, with like almost 3 years that we have been operate, we have been upcycle fabric for more than 27 tons, and we prevent the carbon footprint for 400,000 kilograms of carbon emission, which equivalent to like driving distance around almost 100 rounds, almost 100 times around the world. So this is the impact that we have made so far. And this is done for me.
Thank you so much, Kun Em. I'm such a visual person and learner. And so, you know, what stays with me are the photos that you shared of just those rolls of unused fabric. And, you know, I think it's really interesting because when you shared the impact, the footprint, you know, in the manufacturing process, you showed the impact as it related to natural fibers, so cotton. Yes. But I would imagine, going back to Lerwen's overview, if you will, when she shared how plastics, you know, come into play, and particularly in the garment industry. So I think your statistics may have been conservative in the sense that you were basing them on natural fabrics, but increasingly there are lots of synthetic materials that, and I'm not a garment expert, I don't want to make it sound as though I am.
Yeah, actually like 60% of the clothes that we are doing like in the world is made from polyester, so it's plastic. And for Malu, we didn't like just say, okay, we only take natural fiber. We take everything that so-called like surplus fabric. So on our website, we have like more than 3,000 types of fabric, like the SKU, different type, more than million yards on the platform. So it's a lot.
Wow, wonderful. So now if we could just move to the interactive portion of our time together. So thank you to each of you for sharing a bit of your story and how you see your place in creating a circular economy. And so what I thought we would do is just, talk a little bit about what are some trends that you're noticing in the circular economy space. Does anyone want to?
Maybe I go first.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of trends going on, but maybe I'll focus on ASEAN, perhaps Asia. What I've seen in Asia is that the young, a lot of the initiatives, circularity initiatives, and are driven by young people. And this is really exciting because this is really indicate that the young generation of the new generation is really care about their future, and they're really innovative in coming up with a lot of great solutions. I'll give you one example. One of my students is actually also my webmaster. After a couple of years working with us, and he chose plastic waste, addressing plastic waste to be his final year research topic. So he came up with a plastic sphere, a multimedia interactive platform to make users like us to be aware of how much plastic we generate every day, and to really make us starting caring. And also he has this amazing innovation to show also the ocean, how ocean marine species cannot distinguish food, plastic and food, while we can. That's why they ingest plastic and die. So I thought this is, for me as an educator, to see students to be able to start caring and even come up with an innovative platform to educate, to share their learning and educate other people to become more aware. So that's something that's really exciting.
Absolutely. Am, please, what are your thoughts and what are some of the trends you're really leading in terms of transitioning your company into being more circular? So what are some trends that you're noticing?
Well, first of all, I would say actually Malu, using circular economy mindset at the beginning, so we didn't transition ourselves at all. What we transition is that the industry, and the trend that I saw it every day is that more of the young generation or new generation interest in circular economy so much, because we can see that they participate with whatever we did and want to be part of it. They always support and be our advocate as well. What I can share is that for Malu, for example, I started a business almost 2 years ago, right? Since beginning, the first day until now, we never have to put any marketing purchase at all. So we didn't do PR ourselves. What happened is that the product that we produce have its own story, and our customer or client become our advocate to talk about the circular economy, to talk about how can they be part of it. So I think it's really cool on that.
Yeah, I think that's such a cool element. It's as if they've written themselves into your story. So then they become your brand ambassadors, right? So they're excited because they're able to produce sustainable, goods, if you will, and then they're working with Loop. So it's a win-win-win, I would say. Chris, what are your thoughts? What do you see in terms of trends as it relates to circularity?
I think prior to the pandemic, I saw a lot of positive trends. I saw, as Lerwen said, a lot of young people were pushing for change. As a co-founder of the Circular Design Lab, I saw more and more people wanting to take part in our workshops, learn about systemic design, and wanting to make different choices in their life and changing the ways they do business in that. I think we've seen probably some stuff going in the wrong direction because of the pandemic. It's kind of unavoidable that we're using more plastic in certain ways. I'm hoping that as we come out of it, that stuff goes away quickly and that we can start to make more progress. But I think, regardless, we have to figure out how to make more progress as quickly as possible. So.
Yeah, can I ask a follow-up question to you? I know that you've done some work with open innovation. Mm-hmm. How do you see that as a process helping in terms of creating solutions and more inclusivity into the space? So I think each of you have really spoken to how people have seen that they too can be part of this movement, and how has open innovation as a tool, if you will, been used to help do that?
Sure. I mean, I think we aim for three things with Circular Design Lab. It's to build community, to teach people some of the concepts so that they can do things on their own, and then to hopefully have positive impact over time through the work that we've done. One of the things that's been a surprise for me that's been really positive is you get people into the room and they feel like, my job is, I'm a teacher, I'm a lawyer, I'm an accountant, whatever. I can't do this circular economy stuff. And we bring them in the room and they start learning and they suddenly feel they have permission to do things that otherwise they didn't think they could do. So they start looking at, how can I start a community project, or how can I start a social enterprise that works on this problem that really matters to me? And I think that's the most exciting thing, is that it's like you're touching people on the head and saying, you can go now, or jumping in and doing stuff. So to me, that's really hopeful.
It absolutely is. And so next I thought we could talk a little bit about some challenges or obstacles. So, there has been movement towards circularity, but we're certainly not there yet. So what are some of the challenges that each of you have either experienced or that you see that might be a bit of a barrier towards moving us to a more circular economy? Who'd like to get started? Chris?
Sure. I have to be careful not to get on too much of a soapbox here. I think that our economic system makes it very hard for a lot of people to engage in the circular economy positively. I think we need massive change in mindsets. We also need to change the economic system so that it becomes more possible for people. If you're living hand to mouth and just basically surviving, making the choices to spend more on products and services that are better for the planet may not be possible as much as you may want to do that. So I think we have to figure out how to open the door for everyone to take part if we want to actually get down that path.
Thank you. Lerwen, I see you've unmiked. What would you say are the biggest challenges or obstacles?
I think when we talk to industry on the ground, one of the key feedback is regulation, and also outdated laws. For example, plastic as an example. And in Thailand, food grade plastic, you cannot use recycled plastic for food grade plastic packaging, for example, while it's allowed in other countries. So a lot of from the current law regulations would actually needs to be updated to allow the industry to move forward and to also to be aligned with the global standards and policy. And another level is the consumer, each and every one of us. If we could, the consumer behavior, that's the big challenge. Well, I try, honestly, personally, every single day, try to go zero waste. I mean, it took me a long time to go zero organic waste at home. Now that I have live on a ground floor, I have a composter. I can put all my organic waste in my compost, but I still can't avoid plastic packaging. I can't go zero waste with plastic, but I try to collect them. I try to use my own container whenever I go, bring my own bag. So I changed my behavior gradually. And textile fashion, I used to buy clothes constantly. Now I try to stop buying and live what I have. It took time, and this kind of behavior, it really, even me as an advocate, it's very hard. You know, like when you go to a shopping mall, it's hard not to shop because the whole economy is designed to stimulate your desire to consume. So that is a whole systemic, like Chris was saying, needs a systemic change, and also at a personal level. We have to be somehow, for me, I have to remind myself every single day that I don't need this. I don't need this pair of shoes. I don't need this clothes. Yeah, that is the biggest challenge.
Yeah, and thank you for making that, personal. I've gotten into this bad habit during the pandemic of, looking online. So a lot of the small and medium-sized, boutiques here in Thailand, they do a lot of e-commerce, and they'll deliver a dress by motorbike, so I can order from, Facebook or their site and have it delivered to my house, and all of that takes 30 minutes. So you're right, there's a lot of personal restraints. I didn't even need to go to a shopping mall for that. So how do we unlearn, some of these behaviors that we built? And what are some of your thoughts in terms of challenges that you've experienced or that you see?
Yeah, well, about I want to say more about from the business point of view, that since I'm involved with circular economy because of my business. First of all, I think to start a business nowadays is quite challenging already, but a business with an impact is even more challenge for everyone. Especially, I think circular economy it's not really new in for the world, but it's new for in Asia, and especially for to make a business with circular economy is very new. We have just only handful of business that success or close to success. So that I think it's difficult for people to understand what is really mean circular economy and how it can be done in business. And also I think it's too early to see how the circular economy business can be achieved in massive scale. And that's really a big challenge for me or for Malu to go massive, and that would be my personal challenge.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm going back to Chris's car visual, right? So maybe within your business, you figured out how to do the tire, or maybe within the garment industry, you're working on how to, to build the metaphorical tire, but there's still so many other parts to this system that need to be developed. And then how do they all work together? I think that's a huge challenge. So we're running up against time. We could talk for hours. I mean, I'm really looking forward to our after show. I guess we'll call it on Clubhouse. It'll give us a little bit more time to build on some of this. But before we wrap up, I think it would just be inspiring. So if each of you could share maybe one or two sentences about your hopes for the future. So that we don't end on the challenges and the obstacles, but what's a hope that you have for the future as it relates to creating a more circular economy?
Can I go first?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I would say I would say that the time is running out. So we have less than 10 years to transition like from linear economy to circular economy to keep the temperature down. So like if we don't act now, maybe we don't have the chance anymore. So I wish that everyone can do something, can put their hand on and make it happen. Yeah.
Great. Who'd like to go next? Chris.
I'll go. There's a study from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation that I think was called Closing the Loop, that shows that about 20% of what we need to do to avoid climate change, really problematic climate change, can come from circular economy. So if we can go down this path, we can make a massive contribution towards the avoidance of climate change. So that's something that's really hopeful. Young people, I think, look at what the world we're giving to them today and think it's crazy. So I think that they're going to change things. I think we're going to have a much better world down the road. It's just a matter of how fast can we change it to avoid some of the big problems that we're working towards. So I would say, help the young people change the world, make it better as fast as we can.
Awesome, thank you. And Lerwen, please close us out before we move into Q&A.
Yeah, I think two of you have really, I would say, like SMEs, like I said earlier, SMEs already taking the lead. What I see the future of circular economy will be driven by young people, SMEs, and creating scalable business, not necessarily huge, but at your local context. And I'm very hopeful that Thailand will become the ASEAN circular economy hub as well, because this is what we have found in sectors, textile, in plastic and food, and all these SMEs are aiming at become the ASEAN leader. So I think leadership in Thailand and driven by SMEs is coming up, and you will see that. I hope the reality will prove me right in the next 5 to 10 years.
And I hope so too. Well, thank you to each of you, and just for sharing your insights and your experiences with us. Now we would like to open it up for questions from the audience, and I look forward to continuing this rich discussion. Hello, everyone. So now we have an opportunity to take questions from the audience. I know that several people included questions when they registered, and some have come through the Q&A feature. But to get started, why don't we talk a little bit about resources that are available to people who are circular economy entrepreneurs. So what kinds of resources, be they financing or other types of resources, are available to people who want to create in this space? Who'd like to get us started? Chris, I see you on mic.
Real quick.
Okay.
Sure, I'll go first here. Financing is the hard part, I think. It's the really hard part for circular economy. There are certain businesses that, by their nature, have a pretty good return that are attractive for investments in circular economy. But a lot of them are more of a lower return, longer term investment, and they're just not as attractive to the general investment community. Once you get, the ones that have the bigger return, and the ones that make it kind of past the valley of death, where they have a decent sized business, they're showing viability, funding is available for those organizations that are a little further along. The early stage, it's very, very hard. So, all of us, whatever we can do to encourage governments and, philanthropies and whatever to push more money into that early stage, I think is massively important, so that we can get more of these projects going. Because I work with a lot of people who are trying to get these projects off the ground. I have a project of my own I'm trying to get off the ground. It's really hard, because it's really hard to find the funding that you need.
Thank you. Lerwen or Am, do either of you have anything to contribute? Or Am, please.
Yes, I think nowadays, with the internet, we have ability to access a lot of information, such as from Ellen MacArthur Foundation, or nowadays we can also read on circularity gap as well. And plus, I think that the government in many countries start to have like a roadmap or like circular hotspot or something like that. So for now it's difficult and it's hard, but I think in the future soon we might have more chance to like get onto the information plus financial support.
Thank you, Lerwen.
Hi, I would complement all these other views on by focusing on human resource. I think when we look at circularity often, and also look at technology now, we'll talk about advanced robotics, Industry 4.0, and AI, how we could use all this technology to help transform our economy. But sometimes I think we probably have forgotten that human resource, us, are still very useful. And I think we can involve the community, people around us, ourselves in the economy. I think it's going to be much more powerful, or equally powerful. I always think humans are powerful. Utilize human resources to drive the transition, because it's all about us.
Thank you, and thank you for reminding us about the significance of the human component to all of this, whether it's behavioral change, but then also just how we rethink the choices that we make. So this next question, sorry, it's starting to storm a bit here in Bangkok, so you may hear some thunder in the background. So the next question is, I wouldn't say that it's philosophical, but from your opinion, would you say that biodegradable materials are a better solution than recycling or reusable materials as it relates to creating the circular economy? Who wants to jump in on that one?
Can I? Biodegradable, if you look at circular economy, where if people read EMF books and publications, there are the two cycles, right? Biological cycle and technical cycle. So biological cycle involves bio-based materials. So for example, composting and nature, the whole nature, it goes through the biological cycle. So leaves fall down to the ground, composted, become fertilizer, fertilizing the trees again. Technical cycle is recycling. So you keep the material in the loop and keep on recycling it. Which one is better? It has to be context related. So I work very closely with experts on life cycle assessment. So I often, this is the kind of questions I ask them. If I do this, is it better than others? They will always tell me, I can't tell you that. I have to look at a lot of parameters and also where you are, how you do it. And the whole also really follow the life cycle. For example, bioplastic cups. Okay, we see a lot of bioplastic cups now. So if you throw your cup in the bin, if the bin is not collected and properly composted, the waste is not properly composted, it's not better. Because if you take your bio-based cup, biomaterial cup that will decompose in the landfill where there's no oxygen, it emits methane. So it's worse than CO2. So it really you have to really look at the entire process, from the growth of the material to processing to final end of life of the product, how you deal with it. So it's a long story, sorry.
No, I mean, no need to apologize. You are our resident physicist, right? with a PhD. So if anyone could, answer that in a complete way and in a way that is accessible to those of us who don't have doctorates of physics, it's you. And so thank you so much. I'm going to transition a bit just because we have a few questions and not a lot of time. And this one is targeted to micro SMEs and startups. And then there is a specific one to you, Em. So first, just generally speaking, how would a small business or micro SME calculate its CO2 emissions? So this person says they only know how it would be calculated for larger companies. Are there any tools or ways for smaller companies? And then one question specific to M, and you can think about this, the comment is, this is a great initiative. How do you calculate the carbon footprint saved? So maybe we could start more broadly, and then M, if you want to, talk specifically about how you're able to calculate it within Malu.
Yeah, so for calculating, actually what we do is that we have like the index that we found on like the greenhouse gas, Thailand greenhouse organization, greenhouse gas organization. So it's GTO. And then we use that index and put our equation, and then we send it for approval. So for Malu, the way we calculate the carbon footprint is will depends on the actual composition and also the weight of the fabric that we use. For example, if we calculate for dark fabric, knitted and 100% cotton, the carbon emission to make that kind of composition is higher than if you do lightweight white color polyester. So we calculate based on the actual use of each product, but we cannot give like the exact like equation for everyone. Is kind of like a company work a little bit, yeah. But we have the equation to calculate what we use. So that's how.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Lerwen. I see that you've unmiked. So would you like to add to this particular question in terms of how micro and small enterprises can calculate their impact?
Actually, in Thailand, like I said in my talk earlier, there's a really comprehensive database, the life cycle inventory database, available, and Thai institutions such as forgot the name now. This organization that provides the carbon footprint calculation, you can actually do online. You can actually do online today. So there's a lot of platform already, but Thailand itself has already its platform for calculating carbon footprint, and also give you a green label for your product. So Thailand is actually very advanced in this area. So I will encourage SMEs, individuals, and if you care about your footprint, you can actually use the existing platform, both in Thai and English. I think the Thai version is a bit more comprehensive. So feel free to use that now. I will have to, I think if you, let me see if you can find that. TGO, called TGO, exactly. Thailand TGO. Now just
GTO.
TGO, right?
T first. TGO, sorry.
TGO, exactly. Yeah.
Thailand
Greenhouse Gas Management Organization, TGO. It's TGO. You search TGO Thailand, you'll find it. Yeah, you can calculate live. And also you can engage a lot of experts. There are a lot of experts in Thailand who are capable to do that as well, to case by case. Yeah.
Chris, I see that you've unmiked. We only have a few minutes left, so let's move on to a couple of other questions, because I think this one might be really helpful for people as well. What are the best places to find circular economy companies that need funding?
Ask me.
You said ask you?
I think there are interesting platforms like ABPN out of Singapore that does, they attract a lot of organizations that are trying to find funding. But I think a lot of it is just kind of ad hoc, where individuals are going around talking to different funds and investors and whatever. So I think it's a matter of tapping into the community and asking around. I don't think I'm not aware of a great space where you can really find the bulk of those organizations. But maybe one of the other speakers is.
I have a suggestion.
Please.
Maybe in Thailand, you can search on SE Thailand.
SE Thailand.
Social Enterprise Thailand, because most of the company that do circular economy involved with like the social enterprise in Thai, we kind of like in that category.
Okay, perfect. So what are your suggestions for countries who are at the infancy of the circular economy? How can we create more awareness around it? So as it has been said, Thailand has made some advancements in this space, excuse me, but there are other countries that aren't quite there yet. So what suggestions do you have for entrepreneurs or people in that space?
Can I go first? That's just real quick, this one.
Yes, please.
Actually, circular economy is not new. If you look at the tradition, now before all this packaging, all this fancy stuff that we have as a result of technology development, actually communities have lived in a circular way. So I would encourage everyone to go back to your roots, go back to the tradition, and remind yourself that we used to live in a circular way. And of course, now we have all this technology, all this luxury that in life. How do we deal with it? How do we adapt our lives to the new material prosperity? Then we got to learn from each other. I think whether you're early or late, I think there's no early or late. I think learning from each other, partnership is critical.
That is such a great note for us to kind of conclude on. I know that time always goes quickly when we're together because there's just so much that we can talk about and share in terms of resources and knowledge. So as we mentioned earlier, there will be another opportunity to extend this conversation, and that will take place on Clubhouse. JJ, if you could type that information into the chat box so that everyone has that, that would be great. Or maybe we can send an email out for people that are on the platform. So thank you to all of the exceptional panelists for sharing your insights, your expertise, and your perspectives with us. And JJ, I'd like to turn things back over to you.
Great. Thank you, Lakeisha. And a special thanks to our amazing panelists. I think we all learned a lot today. And I guess the key takeaway here is that, circular economy really touches everything. Like, no matter what industry you're in, food, fashion, tourism, or such, there's a way to apply circularity in everything. And it should be a priority for all of us. So, thank you to all of our panelists for conveying that today. And lastly, Gobi will be hosting more events like these. So let us know what you'd like to hear from us. And yep, I'm signing off for today. Thank you all for such a great session, and looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a great day, everyone.